Welcome to another session with Jay Abraham. This is the Life Architect program, and we're discussing today something that is so comfortable for us. It's so forbidden to a lot of us, so taboo because nobody really wants to talk about it, which is money. Money is so profound, so essential, so influential, but yet we act as if it's forbidden or it's taboo. And the reason for that is because I believe, we lack the knowledge of what money is and what money can do. It doesn't create freedom, but it allows you to have freedom mentality and freedom lifestyles. And because of that, wealth is literally the definition of wealth and health. So in order for you to be wealthy, you have to be first healthy. And this is why I like to talk about relationships and relationship that we do have with money. So in order for you to be comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable with the concept in order for you to be comfortable in testing yourself how to increase your wealth. And the best way to do that is with my friend Steve. Steve, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Jay, for having me on your amazing podcast and inviting me into your beautiful home this evening to spend some time with yourself and family.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming. So I guess give the audience a little bit about yourself. Let's get people to know who Steve is.
Yeah, well, thank you. Big shout out to the audience out there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening in. Like all of us, I guess we all come from humble beginnings or drastic beginnings, or we're thrown into the whirlwind of life. But it all starts, I guess, as a childhood. We're taught things about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. We need to watch our cents. We need to watch our dollars. Money's worked for, and really just the concept of it. As I said, I saw many arguments as a child over the facts of dollars in, dollars out, and to the fact I actually share this with there. I've actually seen money set on fire before, so something there. So it's what it does though is it creates patterns. What it created for myself though was really, I took those lessons and I looked at it and I go, okay, what's the good that can come from the money? What can it do? Because I had to look at this from a young age and go, what opportunities does it create? So my story really begins, I guess, the age of 5 or 6, where I'd been brought up in the, the strict discipline of karate. I did taijutsu and was really taught a few basic principles and disciplines. That's really to respect your opponent. That's the first thing. Have self-respect for yourself. You need to be on your game, both on the mat and off the mat. And what you really need to do is practice the art and its consistency that's going to get you through from your white belt to your black belt. So with that, I took those concepts and I applied that to my everyday strategies as a child. I'm like, okay, what can I create for myself? So what I did is I started with a canteen. I was serving people. I was having to work out the change and the dollars and learn some of those basic skills at school. But what I was doing is doing deals with the people. So instead of selling one potato cake, I was selling like 3 for $2. Now what I was doing is putting deals together at a young age. I did a deal with my parents, and I said, look, if I can get us over $100 in the till, can I keep $10? So I was encouraged through bonuses and what we would call royalty or capital gain in some aspects and incentivized from a young age that if I perform, I'm going to get a return. From there, at the age of 12, had 6 businesses. I feel sorry and also emphasize for the kids out there that have done the paper delivery in the rain. We all know how hard it is when we've got our exactly. Trench coat on and we're riding in the rain. But every single paper is a blessing. We're counting those papers. The paper's getting wetter. We're getting hot. We're getting fatigued, and we're working hard. So we're working hard for our dollars. Then I thought there must be a smarter way. Mm-hmm. So I employed other people to help me out to do that. So my story continues on from there, but a lot of those lessons were learned early on in my childhood, and I'm so grateful to have had those experiences from babysitting to lawn mowing to can collecting to door knocking, which we're going to talk about as well. But the biggest thing that I've learned is that really there's an abundance of money. There's an infinite source, and all I needed to do was knock on more doors.
I love that concept. Knock on more doors, which means creating more opportunities for
Correct.
us in order for it to grow. So what made you realize wealth or money is something that you want to, get more understanding of it?
Okay, so it's a very similar story to Rich Dad Poor Dad. But I'm going to call it, well, hopefully, we'll call it Dad and Uncle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that would work.
Dad and
That would
Uncle.
work.
So my dad initially came from a concept of working hard for money, run multiple businesses, paying the taxes. I guess not quite stagnant in terms of opportunity, working around the clock and working really hard. My uncle, on the other hand, traveled the world freely, lived overseas, always turned up in the latest vehicles, had multiple businesses, amazing stories of the travels, the scuba diving, the mountains that he climbed. So what he did was struck gold literally. He would go to opal mining. He'd do the hard work, lock himself down for a few months. Sometimes got lost in the deserts.
Nice.
And work until he succeeded. Then he would use the remaining time to fulfill his lifestyle. So instead of working, and I guess this is the concept, and we're going to discuss, but instead of working 40 hours a week, he'd be putting in 100 to 200 hours. Like he was literally working until he couldn't stand. But he was 10xing and compounding his efforts until he literally found what he needed, and then therefore going back, getting the right pricing, did that. So I learned that concept from him. So I learned that nice things can be bought with money, but the most important thing that I respected that he had is he always had time. He had nowhere, he didn't have to be anywhere. So from there I understood that money equals leverage, time equals freedom, happiness is from within, and just be present.
That is profound. And I love the compound effect, and I guess a lot of people don't understand what the compound effect really has in our life and stuff. Did you want to share that briefly, what the compound effect means?
Yeah, sure. So are you talking about the compound interest effect is what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, and how success and I guess, and abundance and success comes about when you do things consistently for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, basically because the money's the byproduct, and that's why I thought we'd talk about that. But the compounding effect is really, as I said, just building on it. So let's say, for example, you had 10 tasks to complete. You could start on all 10 of those tasks and do maybe 5% a day, never really fulfilling any of those to its full fruition, because by the time you're working through that one, the task is not done. And I think done is better than the best. Or you can simply focus on and eliminate everything that is distracting you out of those 10 tasks that need to be complete, bring it down to 1 or 2. And the compounding effect is this. It's simply just working till it's done, putting in more time that's required, and it's always Murphy's Law, more time is required, and compounding your results. Therefore, your success, which boosts your confidence, which boosts your energy, which boosts your outcome, and then taking on task 2 with more confidence and taking the lessons that you've learned from the first task onto the next one. So I think it's a rapid approach to success. So focus on one task, get that done. Next task, third task, fourth task. From there, hire your weaknesses and get others to help you compound.
Exactly. And that's what it is. And there's an amazing book by Thomas Hyatt. He said it's called Free to Focus, and it's all about delegation and how you can efficiently work on the things that you have passion towards, and neglect the things that cost you a lot of time and effort where you don't really have passion towards. And that's what delegation is all about, which is brilliant. So talk to us about your trail and how it led you to real estate.
Yeah, perfect. So I guess what happened was initially I was youngest KFC manager in Australia at the age of 18, and grateful to work both the front counter and out the back, learning how to cook. Very competitive environment, lots of fun. But I looked at some of the older employees there that were still maybe 25, which I was considering old back then, and 30 that was still on their $17, $18 an hour, and led me to really think about my position there and the fact that I didn't want to be continuing to work in that industry at an older age. So I'd actually listened to a couple of audibles, not audibles, but audio CDs back then, and got the concept of buying a house.
Beautiful.
So I had two choices. One was to rent a home, or the second was to borrow money from the bank. I looked at the rental, and it was around about $80 per week back then that I needed to pay. Or I looked at purchasing a house, and I actually went to the bank and found a home home loan for around about $30,000 was the maximum I could borrow. Most people think that's impossible nowadays. I can tell you that can still be done. But $30,000. I shared my secrets with the universe, with the people around me, that I wanted to buy a property for $30,000. My KFC manager came to the rescue and said, "Hey, I'm moving out of the area. I'd be prepared to help you get a foot in the door," and sold me her property for $29,500.
Nice.
I was then able to, and here comes the fun, the clincher, the golden nugget. My repayments were $60 per week. I rang up 2 friends and I said, "Hey, would you like to come and live at my house?" And they said, "How much?" I said, $30 a week each. So I picked up a couple of friends, got my house paid for free, and was able to live there with no payments at all.
Wow, and then I guess to start off your journey, and this is where people don't understand. So and I love that. I love the fact that you thought intuitively about how to proactively use what you do have and leverage from it to create. And I think this is the concept of innovation regarding real estate. You have to really think outside the box and really think about how you can, in a way, quotation, manipulate the system.
Or cut up the deal. Cut up the deal. It's a different way of looking at it, but it's generally looking at 2 transactions initially, and that's a buyer and a seller. Then you need to look at it from multiple different points of view. So what's in it for me? What's in it for them? Then there's generally a middleman or woman, which is the realtor or real estate agent that's negotiating their commissions. And generally, with all integrity, they can be the perfect fit for you, but you never really know which party they work for. So the key is there, and then we want to cut up the deal, is, and it's not illegal, how do I get in contact with the vendor? If you're really smart, you want to find out why they're selling, how come they're selling, and what price they're really after, what their intentions are for the property. Do they want to see it demolished, or do they want to see their family home kept, and what and how you will care for it, or otherwise they want the highest dollar. And then you can negotiate things like terms, low deposits. Maybe they can give you something what's called vendor finance, which we'll talk to the audience on one of the other podcasts, where they may be prepared to, for the right price, give you 20% of their capital. It's an investment. So they're known as no money down deals. I've learnt a lot of those strategies and applied a lot of those myself, and be more than happy to cover some of that in our Q&A as we go. But I think that property is the greatest vehicle in the world to create wealth.
Brutal. So, okay, let's get into that straight away then. So why is that?
Why is that? Because it's the only thing that in the last 100 years that's never really gone down. Like, for example, as we talk about this podcast, we're actually in a current situation where we've got many things, pandemics happening around the world. We've got oil prices that are negative $45 US a barrel. And yet property is still holding strong. There's still deals out there. And it's not necessarily the value of the property, because a lot of people get caught up in the value. And they're like, it's the capital gains, it's the return. It's the cash flow that it creates that is king. And you can focus on it 2 ways. You can think about how much you want the property to go up in time, and it's always still going to do that. Or you can think about, how could I maximize my return right now in a challenging situation? This is what I want to bring up. How could I rent out each of these rooms, and instead of getting one whole house for $400 a week rent, how could I rent out 5 rooms at $250 a room each, and actually start using that to catapult yourself right now? So opportunities everywhere.
Beautiful. Catapult yourself. So, no, that's a really profound way of thinking about it. I guess a lot of people think this way. So what is it that, in given the circumstances at the moment, what do you think is the ideal process or moving forward?
Yeah, perfect. So in terms of moving forward, if somebody was looking for a deal right now, I'd be ringing around all the real estate agents and seeing who's in a bit of stress. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you might be able to help someone bail them out. For example, they may have put a deposit on a home for let's say a new house and land package. They've paid a 10% deposit and they can't settle. Instead of those guys going through solicitors and courts and being penalised, what you could do is offer to take that property off their hands, and you keep the 10% deposit. So once again, they get relieved of their legal obligations. you pick up the deal, which you've basically bought 10% under market value,
Mm.
and the person selling the property, the realtor, has managed to keep their commission. It's a win-win-win. All you need to do is have a stable position, stable job, and financial backing to take over the loan. A couple of different strategies there, but also then moving forward. So I had someone today comment on one of my social media posts, and they said to me, this seems like the rich giving rich advice. And I was talking to first home buyers, not rich with people no money. And I asked this person, this individual, which could have been literally spam, but I said to her, I said, well, start with a caravan, start with something and work your way up. And by the way, what are you spending your money on? Are you spending it on coffees, lunches, drinking, smoking? It's your spending habits. With a poor mindset, you'll always remain poor. Even I've known many, many millionaires that still won't spend $1. I asked them, what have you achieved if you haven't created freedom and the ability to chase your big goals?
What did she say? Or what did the spam person say?
Well, deleted her. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I'm actually waiting on a response.
Okay.
And I will keep you updated.
Please do. Yeah, and I think, okay, so let's touch on this mindset, because I think you touched on it greatly. A lot of people tend to have the idea that you need to have capital, you need to have money saved up to buy a house. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as an investment if you don't have the right, I guess, money, capital, and then we'll touch on income and creation of incomes and wealth.
Yeah, sure.
So do you think it's just based on poor mindset that people don't understand it, or is it bad information?
Okay, so a couple of things. I think that what we need to do right now is take responsibility for where we're at. Stop blaming your parents. Stop looking back to when you were 5. Stop looking back and looking at shit like that. Take a really good hard look at yourself and your spending habits, and maybe write down what it is you're spending. But the first thing that needs to really happen is people need to believe that they really want something, they really desire it. So the way to fix the mindset, I'll give you a couple of tips there, would be, first of all, eliminate your social media distractions wherever you can. So have some downtime. Could be 9 p.m. You turn off your phone and you do some reading for an hour. So educate yourself. There's a thing on YouTube called Acres of Diamonds, and it's really what it talks about is a gentleman that was going out looking for diamonds, and he sold his farm at the end and passes away, and somebody found the diamonds in his paddock. What that eliminates to is there's all the books, all the success, everything that we need right now is actually sitting on your shelf. It's sitting there, and it's just simply the ability to open up a book. Second of all, if you can't read, watch some YouTube clips. Surround yourself with like-minded people. What I would do is look at your 5 closest friends, and then look at the 5 people you would rather hang out with, and start spending time with those individuals. It's sometimes just 1 or 2 good ideas carried and followed through by 1 to 2 strong actions that will really change the mindset. And mindset is a callus. It needs to be worked at. It's not something that we can just keep forever. I constantly wake up in the morning and I do my gratitude. I do my journal. I do my plan out my day, and then I look at some income producing activities, and I look at what my downtime is going to be. From that, I cover those 5 tasks. I keep them in checks and balances. Do I need to check in with a partner? Do I need to check in with my boss? Do I need to check in with my spirituality? Just check in on everything. And because generally it's not the mindset, it's the emotion behind it that's causing the real pain. So look within. The answers are there. Read more, write more, and start having a look at your spending habits.
So once that happened, let's say I realize my spending habits has been slowing me down because I've been buying too many KFCs, too many coffees, you name the worst, and it works. So where do we go from there? Once I realize what's happening, where do I go from there?
First thing, apart from that, so the easiest solution, if we just get a one-stop shop, what we need to do is we need to create an online savings account.
Yes.
Plenty of those around. If you're in Australia, maybe a Robo, ING, there's Barefoot Investor, etc. that goes over this. But for example, work with, we'll give Robo a plug. They have a 31-day notice saver account. What the issue is most people pay their bills first, spend their spendings, then save what's left. If you flip that on its head, and even if you nominated an amount and you said, I'm going to save 10% of what I get paid first. Then I'm going to pay my bills. Then I'm going to have my spendings. But next time you go to buy that coffee at the KFC, don't do it. Build yourself some discipline, which builds confidence. Transfer the money immediately into your savings account and go and get an apple.
It's just simple. It's one apple a day. That's all you need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's brilliant. So once we start creating all that, so I guess let's touch base on once we start creating the wealth. So how can we create the income from there?
Yeah, perfect. So basically, if we're talking about we're talking on property.
Sure.
So generally, what's going to happen is you're going to purchase an asset, and then you're going to need to lease the asset out. So there's going to be the capital purchase and the lease.
Okay.
And the leasing can be whether this is commercial property or whatever, but generally you're going to need people to fill these spaces. So what you will need to do is have and I'm always going to recommend this, but have all your properties managed. Don't manage them yourself for the sake of a few dollars because that's also time invested. Have the right insurances in place. So now you need to start protecting what you're creating. And also make sure that you screen your tenants. It's a lot more than just getting the recommendations of the agent. Ask for their names and numbers and maybe even do a Facebook or LinkedIn and Instagram or a Google search or have some friends dig around. Reason for that is that you can fail before you succeed by getting this wrong. With the wealth creation side of it, you need to think about the end goal. The end goal is, am I selling this property in the end? Am I leveraging the cash flow to purchase other properties, or am I using this to create lifestyle? With the end goal, you can therefore determine your strategy. I would recommend keeping properties minimum 5 to 10 years because you need some capital appreciation and you also need to be able to leverage and ideally, if you can, pull the equity, which is the surplus funds for your next investment to go again. Generally, statistically speaking, in Australia, most people struggle to get past 3 properties. It's only the 5 to 7% that really make it past 3 properties. Okay. But that's where the gold is.
Wow. Okay. And is it true that you need to have the 5% or the 10% deposit placed in order for you to get your first property?
Actually, having this discussion this morning on my walk with another gentleman, there is 0 deals at the moment. As long as you've got secure employment, there is banks out there that are currently lending to people with no deposit. So basically, the answer is this: if you want to do the deal, anything you want in life, all you need to do is ask. There is a solution. If you don't know the answer, ask somebody that's done it.
So simple yet so fascinating. So why do you think people don't know about this?
I just don't think we're taught this in school. It's not a strategy. We've spent 14 to 20 years in schooling situations that really aren't teaching the basic skills of mathematics in terms of budgeting, life skills, and unfortunately, it's poor behaviours that are passed down. Why I don't think they're taught it is we're spending our time consuming. It's an instant gratification world now. We would blame it on the fact maybe 20 years ago we didn't have the technology. Now we have the technology, which is meant to make our life easier, yet more people are spending more time on it, doing things. The answer is literally laying in our hands right now. It's a mortgage calculator. It's a budget formula. It's simply just taking the time to invest in ourselves. And if we took 10 to 15 minutes a day just to review our financial goals, and instead of spending 15 minutes scrolling on Facebook, that alone, that habit there would be enough to create a massive momentum and movement in Australia.
Wow. So all we got to do is just really take a good reflection about ourselves, our current situation, and where our end goal will be.
Perfect. And look, pay for help. Go to an accountant, go to a bookkeeper, and have someone else manage your finances.
Yeah.
I've done that since the age of 18. I've had I generally run 1 to 2 accountants, 1 to 2 PAs, and as I said, it's a lot of this is paid on results. So this is for the listeners there that don't have a lot of money. There's always going to be a family friend out there that's a bookkeeper, and you can ask them to help you run your numbers. If you don't financially nor understand your numbers, you're not educated enough to do that, ask somebody else to have a look at them. you can easily download your bank statements and actually see where your spending habits are.
And once you cut down a little bit of spending habits, you'll be saving more money with the right habits, as well as instilling in where you would save 15 minutes a day to yourself. You'll also create better mindset, better discipline, better confidence, better momentum to your own future.
Perfect.
So all of that combined together, you create the right mindset, the right habits, and therefore you write the compound effect.
Beautiful.
Sounds so simple, but a lot of people tend to forget that notion. And I think people are always looking for that instant kill, instant gratification. And is that based on discipline, or is that based on understanding?
I would say it's based on this. It's based on the fact that people don't think big enough.
Okay.
It's simply that they're not thinking 5 to 10 years ahead. We have a limited opportunity between the ages of 18 and 65 to really make a difference in this world, to pay our taxes, to travel, to make a contribution. But it's thinking bigger than ourselves. So I'd almost say that as humans, we're selfish. But we need to be. But on the other hand, we need to be selfish.
Okay.
We need to think of ourselves first in the most positive manner and put ourselves first. So pay yourself first. Think about your family and think about the impact that you could do and the example you could set to your children by showing them the discipline and the consistency of saving a little bit a day.
And then that's where you create generations of wealth rather than individuals.
100%.
I'm with you. So this is where we can create the momentum where everybody else will be on the same level. Beautiful. Potentially. And that's how generations we can grow. Brilliant. So we are venturing off in the future. Well, not in the future, in a few months' time. We're venturing off in a new academy. The Metanoia Academy, where will you be teaching people all these ideas that you mentioned, plus so much more. Do you want to touch base briefly on what you'll be teaching people on this academy? And
yeah, sure. So a couple of things we're going to talk about is basically that one of the first thing is income creation starts with sense. It's looking at your sense. It makes sense. It makes common sense. How many dollars slip through our fingers? So we're going to be talking about budgets.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the mindset and the why. We're going to be looking at the simple strategies which can be done, which is things like investing in stocks, investing in property, investing in businesses, but most importantly, getting out of this, which I feel is absolutely ridiculous, PAYG tax, pay-as-you-go tax. It's the highest tax bracket in the world. That's the employer mindset, and moving into the business quadrant and the investor quadrant. So with some of the suggestions and strategies that we're going to implement on your program, we're going to hopefully teach we are going to teach your audience how to create the rat race, how to create passive income streams with simple formulas that help them not only protect themselves now, but in the future, so that they can live a fulfilling lifestyle through their retirement, and in the meantime make a meaningful difference, including legacy and contribution. So what I want you to do, your audience to imagine themselves really doing, is imagining themselves by the pool, spending time with their family, imagine spending time with the tropics. We're going to be talking about some of the greater things that money can buy.
Yeah.
It's such a dirty word, but it really does create the ability to create choice. So look forward to sharing that and more on your program.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And I love the fact that you touch base on the retirement. And then people understand that they have to work for the rest of their life in order to create enough income so that pension, when they retire, that they can live off. When in reality, we know that retirement pension itself is not comfortable enough for you to live a comfortable life per se. So for you to sign up your own life to work 40 years and then until you retire and then die off living only 5 years or 10 years left, that concept in itself just destroys me from inside. There has to be more in life. There has to be more that we can give back, and there has to be more of our life that we can share with the people we love. And this is, I guess, why we're venturing off together, because we understand this concept very severely, and we want to really be able to impact the world. And I think I'm so lucky to have you in our program, is that you understand this concept from such a young age, and people need to understand this as a young now. So does this program, do you believe it works for everyone?
It does, and we just want to touch on the work. So if we have the mindset that we need to work for the rest of our lives, we'll always be working.
Yes.
It's not about the work we do, it's about getting the money to work for us. So as long as your individuals and your beautiful academy members have this, they have one thing, and that's desire. Desire to have something better than where they're currently sitting right now, then that will work. Because I can guarantee there's always better things in life, and everybody has a story, and I would love to hear successes, the thrills, the impact that the academy members will make. That there is my contribution, the happiness that I will get, and the time invested and prepared to individually work with these individuals to work through their success plans and create a mindset that's fulfilling. So all they need us to do is show up.
Show up. That's it.
And it will work.
And the best thing as well is that with the academy, that we get people to do a live Q&A with you, which means they're gonna go through step by step of what you've taught them, alongside the tasks that they have to fulfill, but also step by step live Q&A where they can get clarifying some of the stuff that you discussed in the program. I think that's powerful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. And you guys, as we said, we're gonna be sharing all of this shortly to you guys in our pages and our website, and this will be able to teach you what's the last thing you want to tell people about money and wealth creation.
Okay. Money is make-believe. It's an energy. It's a flow. And the less you think of it, the more it is attracted to you. So therefore, think of the difference that you could make to many lives, not just one, and the money will flow to you easily. So think big. Think humongous. And never give up. And understand that you're only one phone call, one decision, one idea away from a multi-million-dollar idea and a fulfilling life that goes from 0 to 100 really fucking quick.
Nice.
That's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in, and thank you, Steve, for being here.
Thank you so much.